Fine. So in the last session, we assigned these 3 roles to user. These are roles which allows the user to perform the inventory related transactions. Inventory manager, warehouse manager, warehouse operator. After assigning these roles to user, we provided data access to the same roles. For these 3 roles, we associated our inventory organization. Okay, when you look at these roles, there won't be any huge difference. There will be slight differences in terms of privileges from the respective role. As a part of role customization, we'll go and see how these roles are different, how these are similar, what distinct privileges these specific roles has, we'll come to know. Okay, for now what we did is we assigned these three roles to the user and we provided inventory organization access to these 3 roles. Now we can start working on inventory to perform the transactions. First we'll start with say miscellaneous transactions. Okay, miscellaneous transactions. We have a different type of transactions as a part of miscellaneous. So we'll go one by one. First we'll go with the miscellaneous receipt. Otherwise just here we written everything. Yep. So receipt or GRN. This we'll see as a part of P2P cycle. When we are working on P2P cycle, we'll just create requisition POs and against that we'll create the receipt. That we'll see later. Now we'll go with the miscellaneous receipt. The reality, if you are going to update the inventory quantity, the reason primarily that could be like you are receiving the material so that you can increase the quantity of material within the inventory. If you are going to do the sales, you can decrease the quantity by performing the sales activity. So other than this receipt or sales activity, by performing many other transactions within the inventory, we can update the inventory quantities. So the first one we'll see miscellaneous receipt. When I talk about the miscellaneous receipt, what are the primary reasons we may use this miscellaneous receipt transaction? So at the time of implementation, okay, at the time of implementation, to update on hand quantities, whatever client has as per their legacy system, we use miscellaneous receipt. By using the miscellaneous receipt directly, you can update the on hand quantity within the inventory. If not that case, what could be the other reason? If there is any business scenario which demands to update the on hand quantity within the inventory without purchase order, say they are directly receiving the material into inventory without purchase order, so that is another case where we have to update the on hand quantity within the inventory by using the miscellaneous receipt. Or else you issued some material to some project or some other department, they used the remaining amount of quantity, they are going to return back to the inventory only. So in that case, to receive the material back to the inventory from the different source, in that case also we can use miscellaneous receipt. There are many scenarios, only the point we have to understand how to perform it. That could be because of implementation we are doing, we want to update the on hand quantity based on their legacy system, or without PO there is a case where we have to update the on hand quantity, or there could be reason like where you want to adjust some on hand quantity after verification or reconciliation with reality. So in all the cases we can use the miscellaneous receipt. Okay, or else material returns from projects. Okay, You have separate transactions to issue the material to projects. Say you perform that and the project consumed 90% of 90% quantity of the material, rest of 10% quantity they want to return back to the inventory. In that case, we can use a miscellaneous receipt to receive the material directly into inventory without any uh, kind of some reference transactions or other transactions. That. So these are the cases where we can perform the miscellaneous transaction. If your client has a requirement, the what are the miscellaneous receipts they are going to perform, if they want to classify and they want to perform and they want to track. Okay, they want to classify. Based on the classification, they want to record the miscellaneous receipts, and they'll be able to track. If that is the requirement, we can create multiple miscellaneous receipt transaction types. We'll see that also. First we'll see how to create the miscellaneous receipt, and based on the miscellaneous receipt creation, we'll go and check on hand quantity availability. Prior to that, we'll go and check what is on hand quantity available as of now. After performing the miscellaneous receipt, how that is getting updated, we'll see. After completing that kind of testing activity, we'll see how to create the miscellaneous transaction types, or say inventory transaction types for miscellaneous receipt or any other activities. Fine. First we'll go and do verify the on hand quantity availability within our inventory organization. Fine. So for the same user, we assign those 3 roles and we provision the access to our inventory organization. Now we can go to navigator. Within the navigator, if you want to go to inventory section, under warehouse operations, you can find the task called as inventory management. Inventory management. You can click on inventory management. It will navigate you to inventory management work area. It's inventory management work area. System is displaying inventory organization, which we associated this user related inventory roles. This is our inventory organization. ERP tree dollars inventory. Instead of navigating to this work area from navigator, if you want to navigate directly from home page with the help of springboard icons, what are the icons we see in the home page, all we call as springboard icons. So once you assign the roles to the user, the role related privileges you can find from the navigator as well as from the home page also. From here also you can find out the same task, inventory management. You can see inventory management with the icon, springboard icon. You can click on this. Same page we are landing on, right? Done. First we'll go and check on hand quantity availability for any one of the item which we are dealing. Here is a task list. Okay, you can click on the task list. You can call as task list. It shows list of tasks, or you can call as task panel or task pan. Click on this task list. It will list out all the tasks for which task this user is provisioned access through roles. So all the tasks, whatever we perform within the inventory application as a part of inventory management, are classified. So all the tasks are classified. So here the first classification you can see inventory. These are core inventory transactions which you perform. Apart from those, the other classifications we have as a counting. Okay, if you are going to perform cycle counting, periodic counting, any counting, okay, physical inventory counting or periodic counting, to perform any counting, all the tasks which are related to that, they group and they are just giving here with a filter option. If you want to perform any shipping related activities, you can go with this filter option. From the drop down you can select shipments. Accordingly system will display the tasks which are related to only shipping execution process. If you are going to perform any picking related activities, okay, This picking, it could be related to your order management related process or directly whatever we do within the inventory based on the transactions. And if you want to perform any receipt related transactions, you can go with this classification called as receipts. Accordingly, system will display relevant tasks here. Fine. Now we can go with the inventory, select inventory. So these all are inventory related core transactions. So when you talk about on hand quantity, as of now we don't have any on hand quantity. We created items and we associated items to inventory organization. We didn't perform any transactions. Anyway, we'll go and verify. So here is the task called as manage item quantities. Click on this manage item quantities. In which inventory organization you want to verify the on hand quantity, you can just select that inventory organization. If you think within this inventory organization you have multiple items which are associated, you can select the item here, then you can click on search. Directly we can go with inventory organization specification. Since this user has access to this inventory organization, the same system is defaulting. If you have access to multiple inventory organizations, so you can select specific organization, you can click on search. If any items are available within this inventory organization across or within the sub inventories, so system will display no item is available within the inventory organization, no quantities are available. Yes, item we associated but no quantity against that, so system is not showing anything. That now we'll go and perform miscellaneous receipt, which allows us to receive the material directly into inventory organization. Fine. So click on task list. Okay, here is the task called as create miscellaneous transactions. Create miscellaneous transaction. If you want to see the full task name, you may just minimize this. Okay, create miscellaneous transactions. Click on this task. Okay, so this is a page where we can perform miscellaneous transactions. This is a page from where we can perform the miscellaneous transactions. To perform the miscellaneous transaction, it is not mandatory we have to open the GL periods or inventory periods in Fusion. The first point is there is no inventory periods concept within the inventory. And again, to perform this inventory transaction, the inventory application doesn't look for period status within the GL application. So when you are performing the inventory transactions, we no need to worry about the status of GL. Other side, we don't have any periods concept within the inventory application. That point already we discussed, right? So when we are performing this miscellaneous transaction, you can just select the date. By default, system is taking the today's date, and you can select miscellaneous transaction type. We have many transaction types as a miscellaneous transaction we can create based on our requirement. Okay, that also will be testing after completing this task. So select miscellaneous receipt. Select miscellaneous receipt. If you are using serial number and all, you can enable so that it will allow you to select serial number. That we'll see when we have a separate session on that, serial number, lot number, etc. Okay, that we'll see later. Select transaction type as a miscellaneous receipt. Here click on add lines, transaction lines. So we want to receive quantity into inventory for which item. Okay, select item here. Click on search and search for item. We created all the items by using the prefix called as ERP, right? Search. So we created many items in our previous classes, but all system is not displaying here. The reason is all items we didn't assign to our inventory organization, right? To this inventory organization we didn't assign. To understand the catalog and category concept, we created multiple items, but we didn't assign all the items to our inventory organization. Few items we assign the same, we can see ERP 1001, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, only 5 items. We can go with this first item, ERP 1001, that is item number. That's how we define the setup. System created item number, and description we specified manual entry. So this is how we written the name MacBook. Select this item, click on OK. Fine. So we are within the inventory organization only, right? So we have to select inventory organization. Within the inventory organization only we can perform this miscellaneous transactions. Within this inventory organization, when we are going to update the quantity within this inventory organization, you want to update that quantity by selecting which sub inventory. Select sub inventory. We created two sub inventories. One is MacBook, the second one is iPhone. So select MacBook sub inventory. How much quantity you want to receive into this sub inventory, which is a part of this inventory organization. You want to receive, say, 10 quantity. Okay, 10 quantity, and select account here. So when you receive this material into inventory, this quantity should hit to which account? Okay, which account? So we have which account we use? Inventory material value account. You can select that account. Click on search. Select your company. Select department. And select inventory material value account. Inventory material value account, just you can search for that account. See, when you are searching for anything in any transaction, if you are searching for some account, just make sure that what selection criteria is defaulted for this. If you click on advanced, you could see when you are searching what is the criteria is selected. I am searching for inventory material. Here in the within the description, the search criteria system is taking as a start with. If any account description is starting with inventory material, those accounts only will get displayed. If I am searching for material, I cannot find these accounts. Okay, so if you want to search with any term, the term may be part of this account description, maybe in the beginning or middle or ending or in between. So if you want system to display, you can just select the description criteria as a contains. If you select contains, say for example I am going to search with a material, it will display all the accounts which has material as a part of the description, irrespective of starting or exact name or middle or anywhere as a part of this description. Just click on search. Now system will display all the accounts which accounts description contains material. Okay, notice this is applicable everywhere in the application. If you are going to search for something, verify within the search criteria what option is selected. In few cases by default we get exact. See here, so equals. When it is equals, you have to provide the full name. By providing the partial name, you cannot get the results. So just make sure that when we are searching for something, if you are not getting the results, verify whether the criteria is meeting what for the value which you are entering or not. Better you can select contains, it will give the more relevant results. From that you may pick the expected value. Okay, now anyway you can just go with the start with this inventory material value account. Search for inventory material value account. Fine. So select this account. Say okay. We are updating the on hand quantity with a combination of this inventory and sub inventory against this GL account. Just we are updating the quantity against the GL account by addressing this inventory and sub inventory. Just say okay. System is accepted. Now whatever we are testing, we are doing within the vision instance for our classes. We are performing this within the vision instance. When you are practicing on the vision instance, in the most of the vision instances, we have an issue. When you select this account code combination, system is not accepting. System is not accepting. So what we can do is, so on what base system will accept? If you are going to select any code combination that we call as new code combination, right? I am selecting combination called as company 1000 department 1000 account as 14110. We never selected this code combination as a part of our setups or any transaction creation. So this combination we treat as new code combination. If you want to enter any new code combination within the application, we have to give the permissions at chart of account structure instance level. In case of EBS, just we have a chart of account structure. Chart of account structure level, we have to enable allow dynamic inserts. But in the Fusion, you no need to enable. The moment you create chart of account structure instance, automatically system enable. Whenever system enable that allow dynamic inserts creation, system has to allow us to pick any code combination to create which is new. Already we have seen we were able to select code combination for returned earnings account. There was no issue, right? But when we are performing especially these event related miscellaneous transaction, we have issue with the vision instances. When you are trying to select values, it won't accept. In that case, what we have to do is, and before that we'll go and verify which control we are talking about, which allows us to select new code combinations within the application related to our chart of accounts. If you go to task called as chart of account structures or chart of account structure instances, chart of accounts, search for chart of account structure instances, and we are looking for which flex field, within which flex field we created our chart of account structure and instance, accounting flex field, or you can call as accounting key flex field. So within this, click on manage structure instances, our structure instance name is ERP3. Click on search. Okay, ERP3 accounting flex. Okay, here click on edit. Click on edit. Here we can see there is one checkbox already enabled, dynamic combination creation allowed. That means within this chart of accounts across these three segments, what are the values we have? By selecting any value we can create code combination. The permissions already given. That is the reason at the time of returned earnings account specification, as a part of specify ledger options, we could select returned earnings account. But now what are the transactions we are performing, system should allow. Okay, but in these vision instances, in few instances it is not working. When it is not working, as a workaround, okay, if you are dealing with your client instances, yes, definitely that works. In these vision instances we have a bug which is not understanding this control which is already enabled. So that is the reason what you can do is, you can go with any one of the code combination just for testing, or else, so to use the appropriate code combination only, what we can do is, you can, which code combination you want to select here when you are performing this transaction, those you can create by using code combinations functionality, which is a part of GL. So we'll go and see that. Really it is not required, since this sort of issue we could see in the vision instances, we are talking on this point. Otherwise, when you are performing this transaction directly, you can select account code combination, system will accept. If you come across with this issue when you are practicing, you can perform this activity. Okay, search for combinations. You can search from the project or directly from this search page. We have a task called as manage account combinations. Okay, so select our chart of accounts. By using the chart of accounts, what are the code combinations are created, all system will display here. Okay, so this is a code combination we used, where we used, I think for GL, for testing purpose we used in GL. The same way other code combination we use, this is for credit line, cash account we used, and ownership account 33100, this we used as a part of ledger setup, retained earnings account. And now we selected code combination with this 1411 here, since we already selected, and that is recorded as a new code combination. But if you are not able to select any code combination here as a workaround solution, this is not actual solution. We never face this kind of issue when you are dealing with the client instances. There is some issue with the vision instances when you select the account code combination in this transaction page. So which code combination you require, which code combination you want to enter here, first you can add that code combination here, then system will accept to choose the same code combination from this miscellaneous transaction window. Please make a note of this point. Reality not required, since we have these issues in this vision instance, so you can go with this workaround, some alternative way of providing the code combination. Okay, so already this code combination we have here, but first if you are going to do it, you can do it 1 4. Okay, so maybe some inventory, the value account. This is how you can create, say save and close. So what is this account number? 14100, right? So now I'll try with that 14100. It will accept. If I try with other account, 14130, I'm selecting. Remember, for this, with this account, there is no code combination defined here. Say okay, it won't accept. This is a bug within this vision environments. Okay, so we don't need to worry about it. So just for testing only we are performing these transactions. So you can go and add which account code combination you require when you perform the miscellaneous transaction, then system will accept. Okay, this is the account we require, which is inventory material value account. Inventory material value account, you can see the same description here. Save okay. Fine. So now we are receiving the material into inventory. As a part of transaction also, you can notice the moment you select this item within this inventory organization, so within this inventory organization, against this item how much quantity is available, and whenever you select sub inventory, again system will filter that item quantity availability as per sub inventory. But in current scenario, there is no stock availability within this inventory for this item or same item within this sub inventory. Okay, so it is showing available quantity and on hand quantity as 0. Fine, done. So now you can click on submit. So system will update. Yep.
Available to reserve also should show, right? In EBS we have available to reserve.
No. If you click on details, it will, in on hand quantity level, if you go with that, it will show you. Okay. See here, on hand quantity means total quantity. Availability means the availability to transact, to perform the transactions. Fine. On hand means total. In case of availability, so whatever you reserved that it won't show as a part of availability, so it will show only which you can transact. Fine. Just click on submit. System will update this 10 quantity as on hand quantity within this inventory and the sub inventory combination. Simply say within this inventory. Click on submit.
What about the
Sorry.
unit price?
Sorry.
Unit price.
Price.
Unit price for this item.
Price.
Yeah.
You see that. You see that. That is not required when we are going to do that accounting part. At the time we'll go through it. Okay. Now just let's talk about performing the transactions and quantities. We'll do that. We'll add the price. Okay. All this pricing related.
Lakshman, what was the secondary on hand or secondary available quantity? What was that?
Fine. So that is nothing but we have a primary unit of measurement we take in as each. For the same item, if you are going to have a secondary conversion representation, that you can create as a secondary unit of measurement, that quantity. Say for example, you have primary unit of measurement as a each. You have a secondary unit of measurement you want to have as a some dozens. So if I select any item, say it is showing primary unit of measurement each as a 24. So you have a secondary unit of measurement as a dozens. That means it will show 2 dozens. Fine. It's not mandatory if you have that sort of dealing with that sort of items where you require different unit of measurements. The secondary unit of measurement also that you can define accordingly. It will display. Fine. Now we'll go and check on hand quantity availability. Click on task list. Click on manage item quantities. And this is our inventory organization. If you have multiple inventory organizations and if you want to verify specific sub inventory on hand quantities, you can select your sub inventory name also. So we taken the material into MacBook sub inventory only. Click on search. It should display what are the on hand quantity we updated by using the miscellaneous receipt. We can see here this is the item which is available. Where the item is available, you can expand. Already we given in the search criteria to find out. Here you can expand and you can find out. This item is available where? Within this inventory organization. Within this inventory organization, this item is available in which sub inventory? Okay, within this MacBook sub inventory. It's all about how you want to view item quantities. By item wise you want to view, or organization wise, or locator wise. I mean to say sub inventory wise or locator wise. You can select according to displays. I'm selecting sub inventory base. I want to view. So see, organization level it is not showing any on hand quantity. Earlier it was showing. So MacBook, this is sub inventory. So within the under sub inventory only the quantities it will get displayed on hand quantity under that sub inventory. Earlier it was showing all the levels, right? Item level means it will show all the level. How you want to view? So item, again the same item. In organization level how much, in sub inventory level how much. That's how it will show. You can expand. Okay. Fine. And again if you click on view item availability, it will display how much is on hand, how much is, I mean how much is transactable, which is available to transact, how much is available to reserve. Okay. Again it's the same item. If you have any just receiving and all system will display here. We'll see when we are performing the receiving transaction. We'll talk on that. Fine. So this is how you can update the on-hand quantity directly. If you take this example, one is at the time of implementation, other one is without purchase order, other one is returns, the other reason could be some corrections, some adjustments. In these other cases, if you want to track that information separately, you can create our own transaction types. Okay, we can create our own transaction types. We'll see how to create our own transaction types to perform this miscellaneous transaction. When you go to this miscellaneous transactions, we'll see all these transaction types. These all there are few transaction types which we get as a seeded transaction types, but depending on the client requirement, how they want to classify the miscellaneous transactions based on their business process, I mean how they want to maintain and how they want to track, how they want to report, accordingly we can create a number of transaction types with a selection of some source specification. For the specific source, for inventory, what are the miscellaneous transaction types required? For other sources, what are the miscellaneous transactions required? All we can define as per our requirement. We'll go and see how to create the transaction type, and by using the new transaction type, how to perform the same transaction we'll see. So to test that, we can just go to the project, or directly from the search page we can perform it. Let's try to do everything from the project. Go to our implementation project, ERP tree implementation project. So search for the task called as transaction types. Transaction type. There are many transaction types which are related to different applications. So here you can go with, one second. Yeah, map transaction type and sources it has to show. Basically, it has to show the scroll option also. One second, let me try from here. The search, the list, whatever system is showing, it is not opening the scroll option over there. No issues, you can find from here. Transaction type. Here the scroll option was not opening over there. So inventory transaction type. So this is the actual task. Manage inventory transaction sources and types. This is the actual task. Okay. Just I'm taking that into this spreadsheet so that when you are practicing, you may use for reference. Create inventory transaction. So this is the task name. Click on the task. So here select inventory as a source. Transaction source is inventory. So as a inventory source, we have all these transaction types. All the transaction type. Just now, what are the transaction we performed? So that is also part of the same transaction types. Okay, miscellaneous receipt. This is what we performed. Right. We'll create a few more miscellaneous receipts by addressing the purpose. Just click on create. To create new transaction types, first you have to select inventory. Then you can go to this section click on create. Here we can give the name as, or else you can just, you don't need to address with name what we are using. Say miscellaneous receipt for returns. Returns within our organization. Maybe you just issued something to some finance department, some material. You might have issued some material to projects, maybe some R&D department or other departments or other locations or specific person. So that sort of material you are going to return back to the inventory, which are left after consumption or usage. Those you want to track separately. For that you may have a different transaction type, different miscellaneous transaction type, so that whenever you perform the transactions with this, you'll be able to track separately. The same you can report. Now action. What purpose we are creating this miscellaneous transaction type? The action is issue from store. No, this is not to issue the material from the inventory. It is to receive. Say receive into stores. Miscellaneous receipt. So to receive directly material into stores from, as in case of returns which we get from the projects and other departments, that you can specify. If you want to see the status controls when you perform this transaction, if you want to see that status related attributes, against that you can enable that. And allow project transactions. Say for example, allow project transactions, so it's related to, if you are this is not applicable for receiving. Ideally, if you are creating the miscellaneous issue, in that case you can enable the checkbox allow project transaction. That means by using the miscellaneous transaction, you will be able to issue the material to project. Whenever you enable the checkbox, the transaction type will open project related fields also. Which project, which task, which expenditure organization, which expenditure item type and date, all the fields it will open. So for that reason, that is required. The location required, location selection is required when you are performing this transaction, that you can enable and you can do it. Okay, just give the name and action, select as a receipt into stores, receiving into stores, and just select the start date and say save and close. The same way you can create multiple miscellaneous receipt transaction types based on the purpose. Okay, based on the purpose you may create a number of. We'll go and create one more. This may be for miscellaneous receipt for verification. When you perform the verification, if you identify the reality stock is available in the physical inventories, but in the system itself, okay, there is no accurate quantity. If you identify, in that scenario you may just use this transaction type to update on hand quantity directly within the inventory. Okay, receiving into inventory. Okay, receipt into stores. You update and say save and close. So this is how we can create n number of transaction types. So here how we are creating, you have to navigate to this page and select inventory and scroll little down. Only you could see inventory related transaction types, and you can add the new transaction types whatever you require. So by using the same transaction type, you'll be able to create the transaction. So go to create miscellaneous transactions. We can see those transaction types from here now. So these two only we created, right? Miscellaneous receipt, returns, miscellaneous receipt, verification. So you perform the physical inventory verification, you identified some quantities missing within the system. So directly you may update that quantity within the inventory. Select transaction type and select item. Search for item, all items we created, item number, prefix we given as ERP, right? So search for the items. select, say OK. Want to take into which sub inventory? Maybe I want to take into iPhone sub inventory. How much quantity? 5 quantity. I want to update iPhone sub inventory with the 5 quantity. Of course, here we are using item, same item, but different sub inventories we named as a MacBook and iPhone. So ideally it would be a different item, but just for testing purpose we are using the same item to update any one of the sub inventory. Select 14110. This is a inventory material value account. Sorry, I given in the description. So search by inputting that value in the value field. Fine. Say OK. Now you can click on submit. System will update this 5 on hand quantity within the iPhone sub inventory. I can go to item quantities, click on search. Within the same inventory organization we have those two sub inventories. You don't need to select specific sub inventory. Click on search. In this item total quantities available is 15, and within this inventory organization, and within this iPhone sub inventory 5 and MacBook sub inventory 10. So just we updated. So this is how we can perform miscellaneous receipt. Based on the requirement we can create different transaction types so that we'll be able to track separately. If you create different, what is the benefit? So you'll be able to track. Simply you can go to task list and you can go to review completed transactions, so that here you will have a visibility. Okay, you'll have a visibility by using which transaction type with which classification to perform those transactions. So I want to see only miscellaneous receipt. I want to check how much quantity, okay, updated by performing the verification. You performed verification, you found some mistakes, okay, the balances or quantities are not reconciled with your real quantities. So through that process, by performing that, how through performing the verification, how much quantities you updated directly you want to check. So in that case you can select transaction type as verification miscellaneous receipt, and you want to verify for which date range. Say I want to verify from this month first to till today. Because of this verification, how much quantity, on hand quantity we updated directly in the system. If you want to specify in the specific sub inventory you can select, or else you can go with the search criteria as a organization only. Click on search. Now it will display. Fine, clearly it is showing 5 quantity. Again I want to verify how much quantity directly we updated because of returns from the different departments, the material. So this is how detail level will be able to track if you have a different transaction types based on the purpose why you do that activity. Otherwise you can go with a only one transaction type. Okay, if you don't want to say, if you don't want to track very separately, so you can go with the Oracle predefined transaction type called as miscellaneous receipt only. Okay, You don't want to segregate. You want to perform any receipt, any on-hand quantity updates with any reason with only one transaction type, you can do it. So in that case, you cannot track separately for your analysis purpose and to take some decisions where you have to focus, where something is going wrong. In terms of verification, you may take these decisions. Okay. So this is how just you can check the completed transactions. Fine. Now we'll see the miscellaneous issue. Okay, miscellaneous issue. When you talk about miscellaneous issue, so reality will issue the material to the customers. If there is some sales order, we may issue. Apart from that, you may issue within the inventory to within the organization or else outside of the organization. So to different departments. Maybe you want to issue the material to project department, projects. Like in EBS, we have a project accounting. As a part of projects, if you are handling sort of capital projects, okay, capital projects which are construction projects, that capital project department may require some material which is available within our inventory. We know there is no direct solution which is available in our application. The same is applicable in the Fusion also. If you want to issue some material from the inventory when you are performing the miscellaneous, by performing the miscellaneous issue, I copied that same as it is from there to here. This is issue. Okay, if you want to issue the material to project department, we have to use miscellaneous issue. Not only for project department, for other departments also, any other department or individual, some specific person or some other entities. If you want to issue the material, only the option is miscellaneous issue. Okay, by using the miscellaneous issue, directly we can issue. No further documents required, no supporting documents required. However, we are updating the on-hand quantity directly within the inventory by using miscellaneous receipt. With a miscellaneous receipt, we are updating the on-hand quantity directly within the inventory. Okay, by receiving here with a miscellaneous issue, you can update the on-hand quantity by releasing the material from inventory to specific department. That could be project department or R&D department or specific entity. We can perform the miscellaneous issue. We'll see that. So total quantity, we have 15 within our inventory across these two sub-inventories. In MacBook sub-inventory, we have 10 quantity. In iPhone sub-inventory, we have 5 quantity. Total 15 quantity we have. Now you can go and issue the material from any one of the sub-inventory to specific department by updating the GL accounts. In miscellaneous receipt or miscellaneous issue, we'll be addressing which inventory, which sub-inventory, but reality will be hitting that with the GL accounts. We are updating the GL accounts since we are performing the direct transaction without any reference or supporting documents. Fine. We'll go and see that. The same navigation, task list, click on create miscellaneous transactions. Select transaction type as miscellaneous issue. Miscellaneous issue. Click on create transaction lines, add transaction line. So which item you want to issue? Click on search, find item. So for this item only we have on-hand quantity. Select the same item. You want to issue the material from which sub-inventory. Here system is showing within this inventory organization. Within this inventory organization, for this item, the quantity availability is 15. But again, based on sub-inventory selection, that will be changed. Right? If you select MacBook, from MacBook sub-inventory, if you want to release, only 10 quantities available. If you want to release the issue the quantity from the iPhone sub inventory, only we have 5 quantity. Okay, we'll go and issue the 5 quantity from MacBook. Total 10 quantity we have from MacBook sub inventory. We'll go and issue 5 quantity. So now we updated on-hand quantity with the respective account, inventory material account. Now we are issuing means we have to reduce from the same account the quantity. So select same account, company, department, one 4110, inventory material value account. Select and say OK. Say OK. Now you can click on submit. Now we'll go and verify on-hand quantity availability within our inventory. Click on task list. Click on manage item quantities. Click on search. No need to select sub inventory. You can perform this search inventory organization level. So what is on-hand quantity availability? 10 only. That too, that on-hand quantity for this item is available within this inventory. In iPhone sub inventory 5, MacBook sub inventory 5. Earlier we had 10 quantity within the MacBook, but just now we performed the miscellaneous issue. That is the reason that on-hand quantity is reduced. So if you have a different reasons why you perform the miscellaneous issue, by addressing all those reasons, you can create separate transaction types for all those miscellaneous issues. We'll see how to create for miscellaneous issue. Select source as inventory. Click on create. Say miscellaneous issue. You have a scenarios where you issue the material to projects. When you issue the material, how much material are issuing to projects you want to track separately. So you may have a separate transaction type. This is how you can create. So what purpose this transaction type to issue? In actions, what you have to select? Issue from stores. Okay, action is what we are going to perform. We are not going to receive. We are going to issue. We are going to issue from stores. From inventory, we are going to issue the material. So if you are creating this transaction type to issue the material to project, it's a mandatory you have to select allow project transactions. Then only system will open project related attributes whenever you select this transaction type. Okay, the status attributes and all, if you want to see the status controls, you can enable and allow project transactions. Again, you may have a different projects, and again if you want to address the location which within the project, you can provide the information: project name, task number, okay, expenditure organization name, expenditure organization type, expenditure organization, expenditure date, all you can track. Apart from that, if you want to track the location also, you may enable, so that system will open additional attribute to select the location also. So this is how just you can create. And if you want to have few more transaction types, same process. Miscellaneous issue, to issue some material to finance department. Or else for R&D department. Okay. If you have this different transaction type, you will be able to track detail level. So issue from store, yes. Enable status controls. Say save and close. Done. Say save and close. Now we can go and perform the transaction with that miscellaneous issue. Create miscellaneous transactions. So what are the new transaction types we created for miscellaneous issue? Those you can find here. Okay. Now you want to perform miscellaneous issue to issue the material to projects. Select this and click on add line. Okay. We created, but if you want to see that project related attributes, the inventory organization level also, this inventory organization level also we have to enable. We have to enable this is going to perform the project related transactions. Then the additional fields will be enabled here, additional attributes. Okay, so select item here. From which sub inventory? iPhone sub inventory. How much quantity? 5 quantity you want to issue. Okay, from which account you are issuing? So the actual account, so we use in the expenditure type when you are dealing with the projects. So as per project accounting or PPM, Fusion PPM, the account mapping we do with account generator. Again, by using this with accounting generator only, we do that mapping. With expenditure type level, you can specify which account it has to hit in related to this project related inventory related transactions. But from which account we are releasing that, you can select here, say OK, and submit. Okay, you must specify those details. Fine, I think by default those attributes are given. 1 second. Fine, this no, this organization level we didn't enable, right? So we'll do that. If even if we cannot get those values, the project task expenditure organization and expenditure type and dates are required. Those we didn't define and we cannot get the values here also. Fine. We'll go with this other one, R&D.
Then you need to create project as well, right?
Yes, the values should flow from the PPM. Okay, the values should flow from PPM. We call as point information.
Yeah, if you want to perform project details, first you need to create the project details, right? That's what I'm.
Yes. Okay. No, that anyway they'll create the PPM side. They'll create PPM side. They'll create just if there is a need of performing the issuing the material from inventory. How we can do? That's what we are trying to understand. That's all. How to define the transaction to issue the material to projects. How to just we have seen. Just we have to make sure that the project transaction checkbox we have to enable so that it will enable that attribute selection also. So if you have projects and your inventory organization is enabled for project, then you will be able to perform it. Okay, since inventory level not we didn't enable it as a project, this organization can issue the material to projects. And again, we don't have any projects. Even here, system is not opening that attributes also, additional attributes. Okay, so select you want to issue the material from which sub inventory. iPhone sub inventory. Within that 5 quantity we have, we want to issue the 5 quantity to the R&D department. The rest of process remains same. Say okay. Say submit. So you can go and check on and quantity. Only you can have 5 quantity. Total 15 quantity. 2 times we just perform the issue. 5, 5. 10 got reduced. This every transaction what you perform that that would reflect in the completed transaction. You can click on review completed transactions, and for which date range you want to find out the transaction, the date range you can select. For specific item, if you want to search and find the completed transaction, you can do. Otherwise you can find organization level. Otherwise you can go with the additional filter called as transaction type. Okay, they are the transactions. If you want to see that actual transaction detail information, you can click on the transaction number. It will show all the details. Find the almost same information. You can see the detail fields here, and apart from here, from any page this is applicable when you are creating the any transaction or when you are just going through the results. You can go to view, go to columns, so you can select all show all. In EBS, folders show field. Okay, the menu will go to folders, will click on show field. There you can select specific field that will be inserted into the form. That's how you can see the additional fields which are applicable for the specific records. In the same way here also, so here we have a certain fields which are primary. By default you can see, along with this, if you want to add one more field, you can just add one more, but which you can add, you can see list here. Okay, so these are the other applicable fields depending on the transaction which you record in the different scenarios. If you say all system will add here. So system added many other fields which are applicable for this complete transaction records. Maybe you can just do this to verify and to get to know some additional information which is applicable for these records. Okay, the same you can see at the time of miscellaneous transaction creation also. Here also you can see additional fields, additional columns. Show all. Here it will add all the columns. Okay, done. So by default we have it this miscellaneous issue and miscellaneous receipt. Based on our requirement we can create a number of transaction types or we need. Okay, done. So now we'll see how to perform the sub-inventory transfers. Okay, we'll see how to perform the sub-inventory transfers. So click on create sub-inventory transfers and select transaction type. Sub-inventory transfer we can create with what reasons. If you have a different reasons Okay, different purposes why you perform the sub-inventory transfers. You can create n number of transaction types for sub-inventory transfers. Okay, maybe for adjustments or on request. Okay, with the different what reasons you perform the sub-inventory transfers. By specifying that reason, you can create the transaction types. So whenever you perform the sub-inventory transfer, you can select appropriate type and you can perform. You'll be able to track, and that would be good information for reporting purpose if required. Okay. So here I am selecting. So as a within our system, just we have only one transaction type. If you want to create as per requirement, you can create. Just now we have seen from where you can create. Select transaction type as a sub-inventory transfer. Just click on add lines. So which item related quantities we want to transfer? Select item. So this is the item. So with this, for this item only we have a quantity availability, right? Select. Only 5 quantities available. The quantity is available in MacBook sub inventory, right? Select it. Now that quantity we want to move to update within the iPhone sub inventory. Okay, fine. So if you implement the locator control and all, you can see the locators and all that. We'll see that and we'll be working on it. Now here, if you notice what we are selecting, that sub inventory is source sub inventory. Here title they given, this is source sub inventory. If locator is applicable within that sub inventory, which locator, from which locator you want to transfer. So not applicable, so ignore it. Destination sub inventory, from which this is from inventory, from sub inventory this is to sub inventory within the same inventory organization. How much quantity you want to transfer? So total quantity we want to transfer, 5 quantity we want to transfer. Just click on submit. So transaction is processed. You can find the transaction as a completed transaction. Review completed transactions. You can select the date range from first to till today. What are the completed transactions we want to see? Here you can see transaction type as a sub-inventory transfer. Okay. Here you could see 2 transactions. Sub-inventory transfer. One to reduce since we are moving. One to update targeted sub-inventory. Okay, to reduce since we are moving from source to destination. In source it has to reduce. That is the reason it created negative quantity -5. It reduced, and it has to be updated in the destination sub inventory. For that, just it is updating. It created one more transaction. These are 2 transactions. One is to reduce, another one is to add. And if you go to verify the on-hand quantity also, you can see 5 quantity is available, that too in iPhone sub inventory. Only in iPhone. There is no stock availability within MacBook. So it was available, but just we perform the transfer. Okay, we perform the transfer. Now when I talk about this sub inventory transfer, sub inventory transfer, so this is one step process. Okay, in one go we can finish. If no authorization process is required, you want to do it as a one step process. Okay, so in that case you can use the sub inventory transfer. The same requirement, if you want to move the material from one sub inventory to another sub inventory, if you want to do that process with some authorization where someone else will involve in that process, or if the movement is time taking, moving material from one sub inventory to another sub inventory, you want to place a request, and you are going to request when that movement should happen, and any approvals are required. Okay, if some other people are going to involve, and if it is going to be time taking process, and it is a kind of approach you follow within your inventory to move the material from one inventory to one sub inventory to another sub inventory. In that case, instead of using sub inventory transfers, to do the sub inventory transfers only, we can perform the movement request. Okay, we can perform the movement request. To move the material from one sub inventory to another sub inventory, first we have to create the request. System will be giving the information, so from which sub inventories you can pick the material, and it will generate the report. You can see the report, what are the different requests we have to move the material from which sub inventory to which sub inventory. And again, if you want to implement the approvals for that movement to process the transaction, you can do it. Finally, you can confirm the movement, moving the material from picking and moving the material to targeted sub inventory. If you want to go with this sort of kind of a systematic process which involves other people in this process where approvals are required, you can go with the movement request, which falls under requisition movement request, move order. Okay, with this also you can perform the same. But when you talk about sub inventory transfer, one step process, in one go you can update. But in your organization, if the process is somebody has to request, someone has to respond to that request, they have to look into that, they have to approve, or they have to just reject, or they have to verify whether exactly that much quantity is required or it is possible to release now, and someone has to work on the process of confirming that execution of moving material from one inventory to other inventory. In that case, we can go with a requisition movement request. Okay, so we'll see how to perform that. But here this is a one step process. But when I talk about this movement request, sorry, we have to perform multiple steps. That's it. Sub-inventory transfer, one step process. If you are going to do this, okay, take bold. First you have to create movement request, and we have to pick items, and you have to perform pick confirmation. Okay, you have to pick confirmation, then only system will update on hand quantities. Okay, it will update on hand quantity in source and destination sub-inventory. In source it will reduce, in destination it will update. But now as a part of sub-inventory transfer, so direct transfer with one step, just you have to specify which is source and which is destination, say okay. That means you don't need any authorizations from someone. It's all about, it may be in very small organization you may do it, or else the situation which you are in, directly if you want to update you may do it. But in case of movement request, first you have to raise a request that has to go to appropriate people, and they have to approve, or else if you are the one who are raising the request and you have a authorization limits, you may approve it. But you want to have a documentation, proper records, you may go with this process. Then next step would be will be picking, and the same you can see as a through report. So system will be proposing from which sub inventory you are going to pick, and the report system will generate. and the same you can confirm with the same quantity or with some changes, and finally that on hand quantity will get updated based on the request. Okay, whatever you movement of items you someone requested, accordingly, if you are going to confirm as it is, accordingly system will update on hand quantities. We'll go and see this. So first we have to create the movement request. So go to task list. So here is a task called as manage movement request. Click on create. Okay. So system is creating the movement request automatically. Here header level, this is the movement request header section. Okay, it's not mandatory you have to specify the information, all this information. If you provide here all these levels, source, subunit, destination and all, that would get defaulted below. Okay, so if you provide in the header level, that information will be defaulted. So just directly you can click on add line. So what movement request we are going to create? Requisition movement request. So now which item you want to move from one sub-inventory to another sub-inventory? For which item we are going to place a request? So this is item. So when you deal with the requisition movement request, basically we can perform two type of transactions. One is movement request issue, other one is transfer. So issue already we have seen miscellaneous issue. Similar to that, you can raise a request to issue. We'll be testing after completing this. First we'll go with the movement request transfer. We want to transfer, we are requesting to transfer the material from one sub-inventory to another sub-inventory. We'll just select it. So when we require that material in the destination sub-inventory, maybe by tomorrow. Requested quantity, how much we require? Two quantity is required. We require from which source sub-inventory? We require from iPhone sub-inventory. We know we have only quantity availability within the iPhone. So I'm selecting. So from iPhone sub-inventory, we need two quantity by tomorrow. In which sub-inventory? MacBook sub-inventory. Okay, in iPhone 5 quantities available, two quantities available within MacBook sub-inventory. Okay, this is how you can give the specifications, you can give the details and click on submit. Request is submitted. Done. The request we created. Now picking process. System has to, so as per the request what we submitted, system has to pick the items, it has to perform the picking, and it has to provide the report. We're going to submit the report. Go to ESS job page. How to navigate to ESS job page? Go to navigator, under tools we have a task called as schedule process. Click on schedule new process. Search for job called as movement request. Okay, search with the pick term. Okay, sorry, I typed wrong. So this is a job we have to select. Print movement request pick slip. It runs the process and it gives the results related the process. What it will do is, so in Fusion, whatever the process you submit, whatever the report you submit, you can see the purpose as a description. What it will do, if you submit this, it will release movement request lines for picking and generates corresponding pick slip report. So it will perform based on our selection. It will do the picking and from which inventory, for what are the, how many movement requests we have, and it is picking material from which inventory, and all the details it will produce through report. Just click on OK and provide required parameters. Very primary parameter here is organization. We want to process the movement request for which inventory organization, only for this inventory organization. And if you may specify, if you have multiple movement requests which already you submitted, you want to, which movement request system has to process and it has to provide the report. Accordingly, you can select the range of movement request numbers. Okay, system generated, or else want to see the specific pick slip from and to, all this, which is source of inventory. They're all like some sort of filtration. Okay, fine. So now you can click on submit, say OK. So click on this refresh icon. The status is succeeded. So to see this report output, just click on the same job, scroll little down, and here you could see output name. It is taking as a name by default document. Just click on this default document. Okay, open. Why it is taking HTML output? Yep, fine. We can change that output also. So this is the movement request system created. So this is a movement request number, this is a movement request line, unallocated movement request to quantity. Why it is not allocating? 1 second. So the allocation is missing. Once again, just go to the same request. Why allocation is missing? Okay, it is looking for approvals. So here there is one parameter called as release approval lines. Say yes. The moment you create that movement request, it is auto approved. So you can select release approved lines, then it will release automatically. It will allocate material. Okay, just I ignore the parameters, just select that parameter also. I'll just resubmit. Now go to report output. Just click on the request or say job. Here we call a job. Scroll little down. Click on the document, default document name. Say OK. So now it created. It is just showing that pick status is open picks. Means allocation is done. So allocation is done as we specified in the movement request, and the system created pick slip number also. Okay, so this is a movement request number. This is pick slip number. Done. So we created movement request and the allocation also done. Pick items, in the sense it's nothing but allocation. Report generation. Now we have to confirm the same. And one more point here, it's by default is showing in this HTML format. If you want to go with a different format, you can click on republish. It will give you the option with a different formats. Okay, so what you could do is select PDF. The PDF format you can see the same. Okay, that's how just you can manage with that format. Now the next step is we have to confirm that picking. To perform that, you can go to inventory management, go to task list. Yep. Here you can see the same system is showing pickings, how many are open. Here open in green color, representation open, already confirmed, in the sense it's showing in the blue color. Now system is showing in the green color. That means one picking is available which is not confirmed. Okay, from here, from this dashboard you can see. So now you can go to show tasks and select classification as a picking. See, one more point here, you can navigate from here, confirm pick slip, or else directly you can click on this, it will take you to the same page. Okay, let's do from here. Any will be performing any transaction, we'll try with that. So click on confirm pick slip. Click on confirm pick slip. So the first step is request, second step is allocation, third step is the same allocation we are going to confirm. At the time of allocation you can do some changes if required. You can search with the pick slip number. What is a pick slip number? This is a pick slip number. Click on search. Okay, so this is a pick slip. Why it is not giving? 1 second. Select pick slip. Click on pick slip number. So enable, as we are going to confirm the same. So enable the checkbox. So requested quantity is 2. The requested 2 quantity to move from iPhone sub-inventory. This is source sub-inventory. From this sub-inventory to destination sub-inventory. So from this sub-inventory, if you want to confirm this 2 quantity to move, you can specify this. Or else you may have a separate plan to move from other sub-inventory also. So accordingly you can give the specifications. So yes, whatever they requested, accordingly we are going to be allocated and we are going to move the material to, you can say, confirm. Now if you go and verify on hand quantity, you can see based on this transaction it will update, and you can find there will be on hand quantity availability in MacBook also. Here you can verify the status. Confirmed today. Okay, confirmed picks are one. Only one pick is earlier it was open available. So to confirm the same we confirm. Now go to on hand quantity. Select classification as inventory transactions. So manage item quantity. Click on search. The total quantity remain 5 only, but with across those inventory organizations, we are moving directly or with a request. So expand this. So now system is showing. Earlier we didn't have any stock within the MacBook. Right now system is updated to quantity based on the movement request which we created. If you go and verify the completed transaction, there also it will result as a two different transaction, one to reduce, one to update. Go to review completed transactions. You may select date range, says search. So two quantity. Here it reduced, here it added. It reduced in this sub inventory iPhone, it added in MacBook sub inventory. Fine. So we tested miscellaneous receipt. And picking shipping now. The picking also we have seen again we'll be working on that picking, shipping and primary order management. Sub-inventory transfer and movement request, movement request. So in the tomorrow session we'll just continue with the same inventory transactions. We'll just work on inter-organization transfers and other transactions, and we'll go with the all the concepts whatever we have within the inventory. Okay, that's all for today, and in tomorrow session we'll just look at other topics. We'll go in the same sequence. Any questions from today's session, please?